in different ways and find new things I can do with them. Here's me playing Animal Crossing and like filling the town with fruits to break the game. Here's me drowning into an abyss in Zelda. And I do that, and I also am a speedrunner. So I do a lot of attempts of trying to complete the game as fast as possible. It can be something super serious, like trying to do Sonic and just doing a level fast as you can. Or it can be something kind of casual. Here's me speedrunning Zelda in the VR mode because I thought it was cool. So that's the thing. So yeah, speedruns can sort of be anything you want. It can be a serious effort to complete a game as fast as you can, or just something like this, just like whatever kind of goal you can set, and you see if you can do it and how fast. So, something I got really interested in the past couple of weeks is the idea of speedrun that involves multiple games. So I took this idea and I went and tried to play 3 Pokemon games at the same time with one controller. It's weird, but I really like this idea of Pokemon and multiple games just doing some one complete goal. So what I was led to was the trainer card. Every Pokemon game has a menu where it shows your name, how much money you have, and basic data. And every Pokemon game has ways to increase your like stars. You can like get special symbols on them. And so the DS Pokemon games have interesting objectives to get those stars. So you can just beat the game and you get a star. You can do a bunch of mini games like for beauty contests and you get a star. You can capture the flag, you can do a bunch of battles, or you can obtain every Pokemon. Now if you're me and you see this, your first thought is, that's what I want to look at. So this is the thing that can sort of give us a goal that spans multiple games. So there's an asterisk because these games don't actually require all Pokemon. They have some exceptions. So there are Pokemon that you can get in the games. You can obtain them by going to an event like in person, but you can't actually catch them. And so these are the event Pokemon that are basically the exceptions. And my interest was, what if we focus on just those? Because in the year 2020, we can get some. We can get, there's really obscure methods and glitchy methods that allow us to get some Pokemon in some weird ways. And so with that in mind, I went and made a route. I was like, hey, I would want to do this, so I got the idea. 30 minutes later, I made a route plotting out the rough idea of how it would work. I then said that it was my calling, and right after I bought a capture card to send video on my DS to a computer to make it video streamable. So, with that in mind, our objective is to try and complete a Pokemon game and catch every legendary Pokemon that there is. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, what are legendaries? They are Pokemon that have historical, religious, or otherworldly powers. Some of them are known as mythicals, and you get 1 per game. They're on like the box art. So that's what they are, and our goal is to discern what methods lead to us getting all of them from a fresh file of a Pokemon game to when we get it. And we want to create a route which basically plots out everything we're doing and how we're going to achieve all those things. That's basically the hard part, writing what we're actually doing and how we're doing it. And the end result is to take that route and do a speed run. So just sit down and try to get all the Pokemon as fast as possible and see if that's a thing we can do. So that's our sort of goal and objective. So the end result looks something like this. This is all 35 Pokemon that exist in the DS Pokemon games. And our goal today is going to be to only focus on the first 4 series of Pokemon. So there's the Pokemon games on the Game Boy, Red and Blue. There is Pokemon on the Game Boy Color, Gold and Silver. And then there's Ruby and Sapphire and Diamond and Pearl. So we're interested in these games specifically because they have the capability to be glitched pretty severely, which lets us achieve our goals. It's actually a cutoff where the 5th series of Pokemon games have no glitches that help us do anything at all. Actually, from the release of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl till last year, there was actually no Pokemon game that released any major glitches at all. They were just an impenetrable fortress, which is really impressive. But if we want to do goofy stuff, we don't want that. So we're restricted to the first 4 series of Pokemon, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So we have several games we can access. We have the 5 DS Pokemon games, and they can link with the bottom port of a DS to the Game Boy slot. And those games can also link with things. So we can get legendary Pokemon from all of these, some different amounts and some different ones from each game. So that's not all, because on the GameCube, there are also 2 games that link with the Game Boy Advance. And you can see it's very complicated very fast, because these games are made to be linked together. And if we're doing a run revolving around linking, it gets complicated. So we can link those games together. And we also have, oh yeah, so we don't need these games. The games in the GameCube have nothing special that we can't get anywhere else, and it goes the same for the remakes Fire Red and Leaf Green in the Game Boy Advance. And so actually, Pokemon Emerald on the Game Boy Advance and Pearl on the DS actually have a pretty substantial access to Pokemon, where basically we can catch a ton of them, as you can see here, in these 2 games. And any Pokemon that we can't catch, we can just make it. The Game Boy Advance Pokemon games have a trick and a glitch that allows you to do anything with the game, including make any Pokemon you want. So the restriction of you have to go into a GameStop in the year 2006 to get this Pokemon doesn't exist when you can just make it. And that goes the same for the DS Pokemon games. They actually work a bit different. In those games, you have to go into a physical GameStop in the year 2006 or something, and you have to get the Pokemon by you basically walk somewhere in the world. So you see there, I'm walking up to that Pokemon. You go to a GameStop and they give you an item that lets you go there. But we can go anywhere we want in those games. We'll talk about that later. So that's the cutoff point for getting all the Pokemon if we want to actually get all of them. And so we have all these games we can use, and so much potential there. And we're just going to put them in the trash, because we only need 2 games for the most part, Pearl and Emerald. So on the top is every legendary Pokemon we can possibly get in Pokemon Emerald. We can either catch them or just make them. And in the bottom is every Pokemon that was introduced in the DS Pokemon games, and we can catch most of them in Pearl. So Pearl can get this Pokemon because of the Void. So in the DS Pokemon games, you can get a bike, you can wiggle your D-pad a little bit, and rearrange the world. Here, there's a field that was on the right side of the stage, and it's put over to the left. And this is a glitch you can do anywhere, and it lets you get into basically the out-of-bounds sections of these Pokemon games. And once you do that, you can walk anywhere in the game. And so, while you ordinarily have this Pokemon, you can only get it in the year 2006, going into a GameStop, getting a thing. That's not really the case if you can just bike all towards what you want to get. So these 3 Pokemon, Arceus, Shaman, and Darkrai, they're the 3 event Pokemon for the DS games. They're all totally gettable. We just ride our bike into the infinity and we get it. So the Game Boy Advance games have a different trick. So like I said, we can generate any Pokemon that we want from thin air. And the requirements that we have our Pokemon in a certain order in the boxes like that. And we have a very special berry. So this is a berry in the games that lowers your health by 1. And it's a very simple glitch where if your Pokemon is at 1 health and you use it, they die and go to 0 HP, but the game doesn't know that. And so you can enter a battle with a Pokemon that's dead. And what the game does is it gives you this. It's just like a failsafe. The game says, hey, you can't do this, so we're going to give you I don't know. It's basically how the game handles things that it doesn't know what to do with. And when we have our battles like this, we have basically an empty Pokemon fighting for us, we can take our Pokemon in the PC and scramble them. We can take their Pokemon that are previously in the box, which are the Puzzles and Nuzleafs on the left, and we can turn them into eggs, some of them stay the same. They get scrambled in a really random way. But the end result is that some of them, if we work hard enough and make our sort of situations with glitches specific enough, we can get a Celebi or a Mew or a Deoxys, which are the Pokemon that you cannot catch in those games. So by basically riding our bike in a funny way and feeding some Pokemon some fruits, we can get all the Pokemon that the game literally tells us we can't get. And from that, we can make this all happen. And there are 2 exceptions. There is Dialga and Manaphy. Dialga is a Pokemon that's the cover for Pokemon Diamond, like it's Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. We could get it in Diamond, but it's a bit faster to get it in Heart Gold for a reason I'll explain later. And we also have Manaphy, which is a Pokemon that nowadays you can only get by going into a GameStop and having someone give it to you through wireless for an event. And the DS Pokemon games have access to a game called Pokemon Ranger, which is kind of like a tie-in with this movie with Manaphy. So you can basically get that Pokemon in Ranger. And so all these different special conditions and things available to us let us get what we want. So with a combination of these 4 games, 2 main games and the 2 helper games in the bottom, we can do everything that we need to get all the Pokemon. It's doable. So that's all we need to do. We know what we need to do to get the Pokemon. That's it, right? No. So we have to formulate a plan. We have to make a route before we can get to the good part, getting the Pokemon. We have to know how we're going from point A to point B, from how we're starting the game to eventually getting a Pokemon we want. And we have to be very specific so that we know what we're doing. We're basically planning for the future. Like when I play the Pokemon game in the future, I need to know which Pokemon I'm using, what items I'm doing with, and etc. So very specific plans need to be made for all the games we're doing. So this approach of you need to make a speedrun, you need to make a route, and needing to get all the legendary Pokemon has 3 immediate issues. So the first is Pokemon Ranger. It gets us Manaphy, but it's a side game completely revolving around drawing circles. It has nothing to do with Pokemon. You don't catch Pokemon. You don't make friends with them. You just draw circles. It's really hard. It takes 4 hours to complete for 1 Pokemon. That's bad. Additionally, Emerald, which can create Pokemon out of thin air, requires really hard to get Pokemon to do that. So right off the bat, there's like immediate issues that take our thing that was like doable, we know how to do it, into has practicalities that lead it to be a little bit awkward. And additionally, Pearl has to almost completely sort of run through the entire game just for Heatran. So Heatran is a very obnoxious Pokemon. Heatran has special criteria that prevents you from getting it immediately. You cannot just like ride your bike in the void and walk over to where it is. It needs a completed Pokedex, which gets you the National Dex, which spawns it. And in the DS Pokemon games, you get the National Dex by seeing every Pokemon in the game. There's 150 Pokemon in this game, and we have to see all of them by either coming across them in the grass, just owning them in our party, or encountering a trainer who has them. So we basically have to walk into a bunch of grass and or fight a bunch of trainers. So why does this matter? We're playing the Pokemon games, we would already be doing battles anyways. Well, Pearl has the unique ability to just complete the game from the start. Once you get the bike, you can just run into the void and eventually just get to the end. You can complete the game in under an hour this way, if you look at the bottom. 54 minutes for that one speed run. So we could just do that. We could just go to the very end, but we can't because of Heatran. So it's very awkward. So now we're in a situation where we have to fight many battles. So because we need to be very specific with our plans, we have to think, who do we fight? Where do we encounter them? How does this all work, the specifics? And now at this point we're using 4 games. We're planning out like very specific plans for like 50 battles. And this is very quickly turning into a very convoluted, awful situation of the traveling salesman problem, which is a very fun math concept where basically you try to have a perfect path and you try to make it between towns. So let's say you're a salesman and you need to travel to all the cities and determine what the fastest route is. It's basically just figuring out what is the fastest way I can go from point A to B to C back to A. So this is a lot. It seems simple at first, but it's not. We need 4 games, and it takes ages to put together because of like weird math concepts and just so many complications. This is pretty awful, but we can still try. It's technically possible, maybe less so than I thought it was initially, but we can try. So Pokemon Emerald, we're gonna start with this game. And the game can be broken, as you see. We can just enter a battle with no Pokemon, scramble the game, do whatever we want. We can even complete the game really fast with this push, except we can only do it after we beat almost the entire game. because we need a berry to do anything ridiculous and glitchy in Pokemon Emerald, we're limited by when we can get that. This berry is called the Atomic Berry. It exists first in the game in this patch of grass, in this route, and the route is here, really far into the game. By the point we get to this patch of grass, we play the game for like 2 or 3 hours. So that's the thing. So we're gonna end up playing through the entirety of Pokemon Emerald also, because this is getting more complicated. It's just how it goes. So Mudkip is the premier starter of Pokemon Emerald. You have Torchic, Mudkip, and Trico. Mudkip's pretty good. Pretty great Pokemon. Pretty awesome. And we're not gonna use it. So, Jirachi is one of the legendary Pokemon that exists in the 3rd series of Pokemon games in the Game Boy Advance. And you're supposed to get it by going into a GameStop in the year 2004 this time. Or pre-ordering a specific GameCube game and then having it transfer a Jirachi to you for free, because that's just how these things work. There's just always obscure methods for getting everything, apparently. So we can get Jirachi from this disc, and we can get it at the start of the game. So we don't need a Mudkip or any sort of primary Pokemon to be our starter. We can use some like god of the Pokemon world who grants wishes and just do our battles for us. So Jirachi makes things easier. It can handle all the battles just fine. And more specifically, and most helpfully, it defeats Brendan, or May if you're using the male trainer. So Brendan is the menace. Brendan fights you throughout several moments in the game, and because he's your rival, he has this rock, paper, scissors scenario with you, where if you choose the water starter, Brendan will choose the grass starter, and really kick your butt unless you catch any other Pokemon. And because we're in a speedrun, we kind of just want to carry our starter as far as we can. So we can't really do that easily with Mudkip, but Jirachi doesn't care at all. Jirachi can just sort of block every hit and take everything just fine. It's super powerful for free. And we can actually go through the entire game like this. So initially, this is sort of really awkward and hard, and how we're going to do all these battles. But with help of a special GameCube disc from like 2003, it's really easy. And so we can pick the game. Emerald. As we're beating the game and going along, we have 2 objectives. We need a Volbeat and a Ralts. So when we're creating Pokemon in the sort of glitchy segments, we need to have our boxes filled again with like Plusles and these specific things. And we have a scenario where we need a Volbeat and a Ralts to get a Plusle and a Seedot. And from that, we can generate any Pokemon. This is because when you make a Pokemon in the thin air, one of the criteria that exists is that you need to know exactly the data of the Pokemon before you scramble it. And you can't really do that. There's like a bunch of numbers and invisible things you can't see in the game. But Pokemon that you get in a trade, from an in-game trade, have the same data every time. So 13% chance, really, really high. So we're gonna use Sapphire just for that. As it turns out, the Jirachi disc that we used for our starter actually only works with Ruby and Sapphire. So we already had to use Sapphire for like 10 minutes. We weren't really gonna use it much at all, but we were gonna use it a little. But now we can use it a little more and get our B. So 13% chance of spawning, that's pretty likely, literally 13 times more likely to happen in this game. And the Volbeat spawns here, which is about 40 minutes into the game. So you have to go from the starting town to the first couple of gyms and fight Brandon. That's fun. But the end result is we get our B, and we can get our stuff and create any Pokemon that we want. So at this point, you've beaten the game. We have all of our criteria we need to get to make the Pokemon we want to make. We have our berries, we have our Plusles, we can do anything. So what do we do first? We clone. So in Pokemon Emerald, there is a very simple method of just making copies of Pokemon over and over and over and over again. You can literally go to the Battle Tower, which is an area where you can basically just like train your Pokemon over and over and sort of compete where you can go. Basically a challenge area dungeon in the game. You can interact with a specific character in this area, and it will clone whatever you have in your party. So if I have like 3, I don't know, Pikachus in my party, and I talk to this NPC a certain way, I now have 6. That's great. Now, we also need a way to catch the Pokemon we're getting for the ones we are catching. And for that, we want Master Balls. So because we have easy clones, and because Pokemon can hold one item, we can give a Master Ball to a puzzle, clone the ever-loving life out of it, and now we have no effort catching anything. So we can completely sidestep the issue of like having to catch the Pokemon. It's pretty difficult to do unless you just do that. So we have that. And we can also transfer these Pokemon to the DS games. So we can transfer these Pokemon, and because this Pokemon can hold Master Balls, and because we can clone, we basically can guarantee that the DS games can also catch everything easily. Any legendary Pokemon that an average person tries to catch in these games would take about 20 to 30 minutes at least. Nowadays, in the current Pokemon games, you can get that done in like 5, 10, 15 minutes to make it really simple and easy. But the older Pokemon games have the most ridiculously low chances of catching them that it would take at least 20 to 30 minutes for any of the Pokemon. And we're catching like 20 of them. That's bad, but Master Balls completely help us with that. So, we're going to end up creating these 3 Pokemon that we cannot get any other way. And we're going to be catching all of these Pokemon. These are all the legendary Pokemon that exist in Pokemon Emerald that you can catch, like normally. And they're all pretty simple to get. There's Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, and then Latias and Latios. We can just walk up to them, throw a Master Ball, and we get it. However, we have these 3 Pokemon. This is Regice, Regirock, and Registeel. So, these 3 Pokemon are a menace. They require specific puzzles done in Braille, and you have to decipher that and then follow their specific weird instructions to save this Pokemon. So one of these requires you to walk into a room, walk into the middle, and then use a specific Pokemon move, and then you get that Pokemon. One of them requires you to walk all the way up, to left, to down, and then use a move. And the final Regi Pokemon requires you to walk in, read the Braille, and walk through the entire room counterclockwise. You cannot run, you have to walk. And through that method, just walking over and over, the door opens. And that's the only way we can get this Pokemon at all in our endeavors. So the game is throwing wrenches and wrenches and wrenches at us. Some of them intentional, some of them just like ridiculous, like the bullbeat stuff. But in the end, we can get all those Pokemon. So that's a lot. So next we have Pokemon Ranger. As mentioned, Ranger is a Pokemon game, it's a spin-off. You don't catch Pokemon, you don't make friends with them, and you don't really go on a grand adventure. You just draw circles and like have small skirmishes with that happening. So the combat looks like this. You have your last primary game has a ton of Pokemon to catch, and we have to ask ourselves, how are we handling this? So first we have the Void, which again lets us walk anywhere. And Pearl actually ends up pretty simple. You can like run through the Void and do bike nonsense, which is kind of complicated, but it ends up just letting you go anywhere. And so we can get any Pokemon, period, once we have the bike. So Pearl is actually pretty much not a big deal. Emerald was a nuisance. A Ranger is like a physical sweating, strenuous mess. And then you have Pearl. Everything's really simple here, and that's great, except for Heatran. So Heatran still requires us to get the national dex to catch it, and that means we need to see every Pokemon in the game. As a result, Pearl ends up spending almost all of its time just completing that objective. So we now have another Pokemon where we're spending 3 to 4 hours just for it. This is becoming a lot. So we're required to fight tons and tons and tons of trainers. We end up having to fight all of the gym leaders in the Elite Four of this game. Not because we need to, but because these boss fights have Pokemon that we could get in our Pokedex. The champion of Diamond and Pearl, Cynthia, has a Milotic. That Pokemon is so difficult to catch, it would take like 4 hours to get it. So we can't really get it ourselves, so we're just gonna fight her to get that in our Pokedex. We just need to see them, know they exist, and we get the national dex. So we're doing a ton of battles. Every boss battle, a lot of random encounters. So we have to ask ourselves, how are we handling battles? We have to do a ton of fights, and ideally have them go fast, because otherwise we're spending like several hours just for Heatran. So why don't we use a legendary? Why don't we just catch a legendary and have it just stomp everything that we can encounter? We can ride the bike anywhere.